Here's something simple that I think a lot of people need to understand with Rocket League. Everyone says that directional arrow is the only way to go when it comes to being good at the game. I beg to differ. Firstly, they say directional arrow is the only way to do an inverted tornado spin and a normal tornado spin. That is simply untrue. Here is default arrow doing tornado spins. It's not that hard. It's alternating between directional arrow and, well, alternating between arrow and flat spin. And by doing so, you get this tornado spin effect. You can do the same for the inverted one. If I just spam my arrow, I get the inverted tornado spin. And finally, the only bonus of directional arrow is stalls. It's the only mechanic that you can do with default arrow. It's the only, well, not default arrow. The only one you can do with directional arrow. You can't do stalls with default arrow. Even if you tried, you're always going to side flip every single time. So that's the only change. The other thing that everyone says is a thing is directional arrow rotates faster. Here it is, 1, 2.5. That's 2.5 turns with directional arrow. And then here's default arrow. 1, 2.5. The exact same. So if you're going to sit here and be one of those people who's giving coaching advice to people saying directional arrow is needed to be good at the game, that is simply false. Because if you're doing just a plain air dribble, here's an air dribble with directional arrow, and you can see how sloppy it is. I can't even keep the ball up in the air with it. And I've spent many years playing this game. Like, simple air dribble with directional arrow. And this is continuously spinning with directional arrow. And then the final thing is doing the same thing, but with default arrow. If I'm doing just a regular air dribble, you can do the same thing. It's still sloppy and pointless. This is all default arrow with this one. And then the final thing is doing a controlled air dribble with directional arrow versus default. Here's directional arrow. I used it just a little bit, and then the rest was all no arrow. People say you need it to do good air dribbles. You really don't. Here's default arrow. And this, well, that was the directional. Here's default arrow. If I do an air dribble with default arrow, you can see it's the same. There's no difference. The control is the exact same. There's no difference in how much control you have in an air dribble with default arrow to directional arrow. The only thing that you can do differently with directional arrow versus default arrow is stalls. It's the only mechanic that you can do with directional arrow. And even then, it is pointless and inconsistent. Especially that because you can do a double flip reset without stalls, without any need for directional air roll to do a stall reset. There's no reason to do a stall reset if the rapid reset is just far superior. It's the one mechanic that everyone uses. Everyone uses 1 or 2 flip resets. If you're doing 4, some people do it with a rapid reset. But no one tries to use the stall reset in competitive. No one uses it anymore. It was popularized one time, and then it was never used again the moment the rapid reset came into play. So, to all those who say that I'm stupid or say that I'm the one that doesn't know what I'm talking about, here's your video proving that directional air roll is useless and an overused game keybind, basically. It's basically a keybind that's completely used just for being flashy. It's literally just this. This is all. It's all you get. It just takes your air dribbles and makes them look fancy. That's all it does. I can do the same air dribble that I just did with default air roll. Probably even better with default air roll than directional air roll. And that's not because of how many hours I've used default air roll for. Like even there, that's one of those things where it's like directional air roll wouldn't have made a difference here. I got a weird touch there, but I was able to recover it to get a flip reset. Because free air roll. People say you need directional air roll, you don't. Beg to differ, and this is my proof. Showing. So, to those saying directional air roll is the only way to get better at the game, fuck you. And stop your false accusations. Simple as that.